Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to podcast, the Houston and Sean podcast. It's episode number 10. This is the decade one, I guess, the short decade of just individual episodes. And yes, indeed, we are going to be talking intellectually tonight about books.
Now, wait a minute.
And
Well, now wait. Well, everyone is probably changing, clicking out because we just said we're talking about books. Don't leave. Don't leave. We're going to make this interesting. I promise. We're going to talk about books, but in a cool way. So don't run away and don't click out and keep watching the video. I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there so people don't think we're nerds.
right, yeah. Well, I mean, more than reading books, Houston actually smells books. He sniffs them. Goes like, here's an example.
No, that's not how you do it. Let me show you how you do it. So this is something I started doing when I was a kid. I realized that I like the smell of books. So I go like this and I smell the ink in the pages. And when I was a kid, my cousins one time, they blindfolded me and put me in a room with all of my books. And they waved the book in front of me and I smelled the books and I could guess every single book. I knew the books by the smell. And every time we have a family reunion, they proceed to tell me that story and tell me how weird I am.
Yeah.
But one more thing, and then we can move on. I started taking graphic design classes after I left high school. And my first class was I think it was in printing or something. And the teacher said, I love the smell of books. I like to smell books. And my entire life, I keep meeting people who like to smell books. And it makes me feel not alone and it makes me feel not like a freak. And I would like to start a club or a support line someday for people that smell books, so we can all gather together and talk about it and be like, we're not alone. That's all I have to say about that.
It's just, it's the book pheromones. I mean, could you imagine if women had a perfume and it was the smell of books?
Oh my God.
Like Houston would just love that woman till the day he died. He'd be like, get home, give her a big hug, and be like,
Absolutely. And I've actually uh, I love going to bookstores and I always have to look around if I'm looking at a book, make sure nobody's watching, and I just go, and then I put the book back. I do that all the time.
it's like crack for Houston.
It's just a weird, I love it. I still do it to this day. I try to do it in privacy where nobody sees me. I love the smell of a good book.
So can I tell you about an experience I had just this weekend?
Sure.
I drew plasma, which I have never done. Uh, so ultimately, uh, my ex-wife and I, we kind of hang out, but she was going to draw plasma. She just because they pay you for your plasma, which is odd, right? But it's just the easiest way. You don't have to apply to this job. You just go in there, let them take your plasma out of you, and then you leave, and you get money.
Why do you keep calling it plasma?
Well, it's plasma is like the thing they take out. So they put back your red blood cells. It's not the plasma part of the blood is what they are like taking from you.
Mhm.
So
Well,
so
yeah.
it's not just normal blood drawing, right? Where they just take the whole thing.
Mhm.
It's actually a part of the blood. They filter the plasma and then they put back the rest, which is an odd feeling where it's just like, oh, it's done with the plasma. Now it's just putting back other things, and you can kind of like feel it. But,
Ew.
like saline, it puts back saline, it puts back red blood cells. It's just very odd. But anyway, that's one half of your body, my left arm. They used my left arm. So the other arm just was like used for entertainment. So a perfect time to read on my phone.
Yes. I sure. I don't want to get into
Reading can happen in all sorts of places. I mean, really can. I mean, I did read during the plasma draw, and they gave me $90. I was just sitting there doodling on my phone.
well, that's good. Can
And
you keep
like,
doing that? Is that something that you could do like every week if you wanted?
you can do it every other day as long as you can do it. I mean, you have to meet the minimum qualifications, and you can't, like, I guess, pass out. I don't know. I mean, plasma is vital to you just as it is vital to the guy that needs the plasma, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, but as long as you can do it, you skip a day and you can do it again.
I had a couple years ago, I had not a couple, this was a long time ago. I had something called hemochromatosis, which is where you have too many red blood cells in your
Okay.
body, and it can be really fatal if you don't take care of it. And so I had to get my blood drawn every single week to get that's the doctor said, yeah, we just got to bleed you out. And that's how he said it. And so I would do that every week. And one time I went there and I was hungover and they were taking my blood out and I had the biggest panic attack and I freaked out in the middle of it and they had to like take the thing out and like out of my arm and they had to take me to this back room and I was like I don't have you ever had a panic attack before?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've had several. I
like my
mean, I've had a
middle name.
lot. And I had this
I
big
I
panic
do it
attack.
twice a week.
Oh, well,
I
there you
flush
go.
my system.
Yeah, I have a lot of panic attacks, but oh, it was awful. And they gave me like a paper bag and they said breathe into this paper bag and the panic attack will stop and it didn't work. I thought I was dying.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's way off topic.
So sometimes I have a panic attack, like just because I'm hungry. I'm like, I am so hungry right now. But yeah,
We're here to talk about books. We're not here to
books.
talk about
But anyway,
blood.
so this was the plasma draw done. But can I tell you how I read? Because I read every day. I
Mhm.
do. So I read in
Stop
Asana.
bragging. God, you got to
Yeah.
brag. I
Yeah.
read every
This is
day.
a
Like you're
big,
better than
this
me.
is a look at the size of this thing. But so so I read every day in the sun. By the way, this just
Sorry,
reminds,
I'll stop. I'll stop.
I wore this shirt in honor of Houston. It's a turtle because sometimes in photographs Houston looks turtly, but it's okay because the ladies
No,
love Houston, so it doesn't really necessarily
first,
block anything.
first of all, the ladies do love me. Second of all, the reason I don't like photos, because sometimes in photos I think I look like a turtle. The reason for that is because when I was in 11th grade, I showed Sean no, it was 10th grade. I showed you my yearbook photo, and you said I looked like a turtle. And I never forgot that. And and I did look like a turtle in the picture. And anytime I see a photo where I'm looking like a turtle, I immediately want to delete it and say, no, I look. Sean sent me a picture recently of us from a few years back, and we were going to use it for the logo for the podcast or whatever. And I said, no, I look too much like a turtle. So I have a
The
turtle
turtle, the
complex.
turtle and Sean podcast.
Yes, I
But
have a,
yeah.
yeah, that's your fault, by the way.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's weird that you just say things in passing and you leave like scarring things on people.
I
People have
never
done that to
forget
me
certain
too.
things. One time, this girl, when I was a teenager, told me that my eyes, nose, and mouth were too close together. And I never forgot that. And I told my mom that one time, and she said, yes, yeah, someone said that to her when she was a teenager, and she thought the same thing. But, anyways, we're getting way off
Well,
topic.
you often talk about the largeness of a girl's forehead.
I
You're like,
do.
"Oh, wait. Yeah, you do. You've pointed that out to multiple celebrities. You're like, she's good looking, but she has a big forehead." I'm like, I didn't notice that until you said it. But yes, she does.
I didn't know I said that a lot. But, anyways, we're
Yeah,
here to talk
like
about
she's all
books.
that. She's all that. She's All That was a movie. You said that girl had a big forehead.
Oh, she does. I remember that. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I would totally date a girl with a big forehead, but I noticed
She's
that.
she probably reads a lot.
Yes.
So in the sauna, every time every time I turn the page, it's not just turning, it's also removing. I turn by removing, and then I turn it, and then I read that page, and then I set it down, and then I read, and I remove, I turn, and I set it down. And that is my system. I've done this to by like 15, 16 books.
So Sean is basically, we talked about this in a different podcast. Sean reads books and then he rips the pages out when he finishes the page. And as a person that loves to collect and save books, it drives me absolutely nuts that you do that.
I sort of want to do it like right now. I just don't
No,
have an
don't.
example.
Don't
Yeah.
do it.
Just to bother you. But
So,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, name a book that has inspired you, you nerd.
So first of all, I'm sitting and you can't see it, but I'm sitting in front of my bookshelf. All of these books, me personally, I don't read a lot of fiction. I read a
Show me.
lot of biographies and books on like
Show
how
the
to,
camera.
huh?
Show the cameras. Some of them.
I can't.
One of them.
I have to, I'm on my laptop. I'd have to like move the laptop, but let's see. What's a good book that okay. This is a book, and I think it shows backwards on the screen, so this is probably going to backfire. Is it
Bring that
backwards?
beat back. No, it's not.
Okay. This is a book about the history of sampling in hip hop, which is something that I'm starting to get into in my music, sampling, and I'm getting an MPC. So this is a great book that tells you the history of sampling in hip hop. These are the kinds of books that I read. This is Eminem's book. He made a book. It's mostly a lot of pictures, and it's his whole story and talking about rapping.
What's he doing on the cover? What's he like? What is that?
He's standing there looking gangsta, okay?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And angry.
Is that like a hoodie?
Like he's wearing a do-rag and anyways, that's
that. Yeah, he's a great rapper. I really do appreciate his rap.
He's one of my favorites. And then yeah, I've got so that's what I like to read. I like to read about, rock stars, and I like to read about movies. I don't read a lot of fiction.
It's Marshall Mathers. I'm just a regular guy. I don't know why all the fuss about me.
Fuss about me.
Here's
a really nerdy book, and you can tell me to stop. I'm not going to pull out every single book.
Yeah, yep.
This is a book called A Long Time Ago in a Cutting Room Far, Far Away. And it's by Paul Hirsch, who is a great film editor. And this is a book literally about all the movies he's edited. This is some nerd shit, and I read a lot of nerdy shit like that. I love it,
That's funny. Yeah, it is. It should just be called In a Galaxy That's Full of Nerds.
Yes. Well, hey, that's just how I am. Okay. And this isn't a nerdy book. This is Original Gangsters. It's a book about West Coast hip hop, Dr. Dre,
still
NWA.
Kind of nerdy. Still kind of nerdy.
Not nerdy. It's gangster. Go ahead.
All of those books look interesting, except I would destroy them, so you wouldn't want me to read them.
No, so I'll never have you over here.
I just have to buy my own copy.
So what kind of books do you like to read?
So I read this book recently by crap, I always forget authors. Brian, he's a neuroscientist, and it was called The Brain. And the reason it was interesting to me was because as I was reading it, I was thinking, I am reading about the thing that I am reading with.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It was weird,
using your brain to read about the brain.
Yeah. I'm like, this is weird. And then I'm just thinking, like, I don't know. What other books? I'm reading a book right now called The Last Lecture. It's about a guy who has pancreatic cancer, and so he's basically telling his last college lecture before he dies. But he's really positive. He's actually like a positive, fun guy who's about to die. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's sort of like if you know that you're gonna die, like, how are you going to reflect on your life?
Yeah, that's crazy.
What legacy did you make on the world? What legacy did you make? And did you like your life? Because you're about to die.
That's kind of sad, but that's interesting. I
What do
wonder
you
if
think?
if I knew I was about to die, like how would I react? Do you ever think about that? Like if a doctor told you you have like 6 months left to live, would you? Part of me thinks that I would go crazy and I would just do whatever I wanted to, like just get drunk and like just
Right.
pee in public and stuff.
It's like, terrible, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, I would go nuts. But I've thought about that a lot. If a doctor told me that, and it would be
Like
very
this psychedelic might kill you. You're just like,
exactly, exactly. I don't know if that's something you've ever thought about, but that's an interesting book. That's an interesting book there.
no, yeah, I've done like my technique, even though some people don't like it. I do it, in the same sauna. So all the guys, most guys totally ignore me. I feel like they definitely don't say one single word about it. But I would say a couple of them have to respond about it. And it's always the first page. It's like, and they're like, "Oh, come on, dude.
They
Come
get
on. I
mad.
can't just sit here." Well, no, they just have to talk about it. They're like, "I can't just sit here." Like, I'm like, so then we shoot the breeze. So, and I'm always cool with that. I mean, like, I read pretty much most other days I'm gonna read. So if you want to shoot the breeze, that's fine. You know,
I
I just don't read.
yeah, I would probably headbutt you if I was in that sauna with you.
I'd walk out with like a bloody nose, like ah.
I
I was at a birthday party with Will today. My older son. Wait, let me see. Hold on. Can you see Will in the picture?
yeah,
Yeah, that one.
that one.
Anyway, so like I'm just sitting talking to parents and some kid is like, Will's has a bloody nose. And he did. It was just like a massive bloody nose attack.
Oh
He
no,
had
just out of
Nita's,
nowhere.
he had Nita's face with his own knee.
Ooh,
Like, yeah. So that's kind of like, I feel like kind of talented. Like, I don't even think my face could get to my knee.
was he
My
was he
back, my back wouldn't let it.
was he
My,
freaking out?
my, He was crying. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's
So we
traumatizing.
we went into the bathroom. I just kept like wetting towels and just letting it just kind of flush out. And then eventually we just used non-wet towels to sort of like just hold it. I don't know why I
It's
told you that story.
well, it's
I
it's
think
it's
the recentness of the story, the fact that it just
you're
happened a couple hours ago.
you're still reeling from it.
I'm just like, sheesh. But it was kind of nice. I kicked into like serious father mode where I'm
Mhm.
like, ha ha ha. It's like, Will's got a bloody nose. I was like, it's my time to be a paramedic. And I went to the bathroom and did my best.
That's good. That's good. You're a good dad. You're a good dad,
Ah,
and
thanks.
a thumbs up to Sean for that.
No, grazie, grazie.
This
That's thank you in German.
this is one of my favorite books. It's the Beastie Boys book. Look how thick this is. The Beastie Boys,
Dang, that's sweet.
uh, the guy MCA, Adam Yauch passed away, but they wrote this book after he passed away, and it's the whole history of the Beastie Boys. This book is so cool. It's pictures, it's got like a maps of like New York City. Like they really put like a lot of time and effort into this book. And it's their story is pretty incredible. And it smells good. I don't know if you were ever a Beastie Boys fan. I was a huge Beastie
I
Boys fan.
was, however, when I was in middle school, the Beastie Boys had passed their prime.
Yeah.
And they were doing the intergalactic one. It's just, I don't know, which also as a seventh grader, it was like, yeah, this is cool. However, in retrospect, it wasn't as cool as their previous work. Like I thought, like No Sleep Till Brooklyn, that's an amazing song, things like that, that era.
License to Ill is incredible. And Paul's Boutique, the album they did after that, is also incredible. Did you ever hear Paul's Boutique?
No.
So Paul's Boutique was the album they made after License to Ill. Everyone thought they were going to make another album that was just like License to Ill. And instead, they made this album that is so packed with samples, like samples on top of layers and layers and layers of samples. It's incredible. And it's considered their best album. It's considered like one of the great rap albums. And when it came out, it flopped. Like people were like, what is this? This isn't the Beastie Boys. But now it's
Yeah.
considered like over time, it's considered like one of the greatest rap albums ever made. And you should definitely listen to it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I will. I got this one called Finger Licking Good, I think, or something.
Finger
Well, or
Lick.
maybe it had that song. I
Yeah.
was not that impressed. But I
It
know
was,
that it's just not their it wasn't their acclaimed ones, and I sort of do gravitate, or like I'm like their people's acclaimed work is like I'm like a magnet to it. It's very thought it provokes me, like if there's a story, if there's a story or a history behind like that album. But I got that one. I was like, I don't know any of these songs like at all.
that's because after Paul's Boutique, and this is starting to become a Beastie Boys podcast, and I don't care. After Paul's Boutique, they started playing their own instruments, like as a
Mm.
band. And that's what that album was. It was them playing. They said, we don't want to sample stuff anymore or use drum machines. So they were playing like bass, drums, and that's why that album sounds the way it does. Because like Sabotage, that's all them playing, which I think
Well, I
is
didn't know
cool.
Sabotage. Yeah.
Yeah, Sabotage is it's they decided let's actually play instruments because they started off as a punk band actually before they became rappers. Little trivia for you.
Eddie Van Halen was on one of the songs for the solo. I forget which one. Wasn't he?
Now you're thinking of Michael Jackson.
No, there is one famous guitarist on one of the Beastie Boys songs.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
I also know Eddie Van Halen did that one, Beat It, right, or something.
I think it was Beat It. Yeah.
Anyway, so
Can we
books,
do a
okay.
Beastie Boys podcast next time where I can just talk about the Beastie Boys for an hour?
You probably have enough info. Look at how thick that thing is. Sheesh.
So I have by reading these books, and
You
you
know
know
what?
this.
Oh yeah.
No, go ahead.
I'm trying to think of the writer. Who wrote War and Peace?
Oh, I don't know. I
I
didn't read it.
forget. But those things are huge, right? But that
Yeah.
guy would look at the Beastie Boys book and be like, "Oh, who did that?" Let's look up War and Peace really quick. I just want to name
While
drop.
while you're doing that, this is The Stand by Stephen King. It's over a
Mhm.
thousand pages.
That's a good author for sure.
I love Stephen King. I don't read a lot of fiction, but when I do, I read a lot of Stephen King. This book took me forever to read, and it's a classic. And if you're ever gonna read a good Stephen King book, The Stand is incredible.
Yeah, I am. That's the Beastie Boys book. How do you know it's pitch black in here? You're like, I just know I've smelled it 3,000 times. Like,
Exactly. I could do
like,
that with these books.
I have not read a lot of Stephen King. That actually might be my next one. The problem with Stephen King is that I read these things right before work. And well, I'd imagine that I'd go into work and act differently. It's happened to me, not with Stephen King, but with like other books that could kind of like twist your mind into sort of like a cool dark mode. And I'm in front of people all day, at working at a bank, and I'm in front of people all day. And I sort of end up being influenced by my book. Like if it's a great happy book, I'm like great and happy. If it's a cool mysterious book, I'm cool and mysterious. If it's dark, hopefully I wouldn't be that dark. I could snap out of it. Like, wait, that's just Stephen King.
Yeah, his books are messed up. I mean, they're pretty like disturbing, like the way he writes is
I hear,
yeah.
I hear, I hear just from Joe Rogan's podcast that Joe Rogan talks about a lot, that how he did better while he was on cocaine than he did when he got off of cocaine.
Yeah, so people might not know Stephen King was a coke addict and he was also a raging alcoholic. Like he wrote his best books when he was sort of drunk and like on cocaine. And that might be true because I know like I read a recent book by him and it wasn't, it was kind of stale.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
He's
just
too
shows
busy eating
you,
hot dog. He's eating hot dogs at a like at a carnival,
right? I'm not going to
referencing
tell
another
that story
podcast.
again.
What
But
are
yeah,
you doing
what are
here?
you doing here? And my friend was like, I'm from Texas. And he was like, George Bush is from Texas, and that's bad. That's what he said.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway,
he probably stole, he was like, that guy needs to be a character of one of my books.
he probably did. He probably put like a character named Jimmy in his book from Texas.
Yeah, Jimmy. He's like, and then Jimmy was destroyed and eaten alive. And he was like, no, no, no.
That sounds like Jimmy, actually. Jimmy would go now all the time. That's funny. I need to find out what Jimmy's up to these days.
Well, we need to get some of your, because isn't Billy going to be on the show?
I asked Billy to be on and he said yes, and I forgot about that. That was a while
So
ago. I haven't
here's a
talked to him.
plug for you, Billy. Get on the show. We need you. We're losing ground here. We're running out of things to talk about, Billy.
I think it'd be fun to have Billy on, but I think the fun would be us telling stories about like our high school days, and you weren't there. So I don't know if
Yeah.
like you'd like be able to like how you'd be able to participate.
Well, what I think would be funny if you put my screen on the bottom,
Mhm.
and I just kept, even though I was looking at my computer, I would just keep looking up at you guys. Look,
Yeah, that would be funny. You could just like
Look,
start
just
reading.
like Billy would be over here. I'd be like,
And you'd try to like interject and say something, and when we're talking, and we'd be like, "Shut up, Sean! You stay down there and be quiet. You weren't even there."
my middle school life all over again.
Yeah.
It sounds like middle school. They're like, we're just gonna have a catchphrase. It's gonna be "Shut up, Sean."
Shut
I'm
up,
like, you guys
Sean.
want that to be like our class catchphrase? Yes, shut up, Sean. It's the class catchphrase. Everybody's saying it. Why don't you try to say it? Go ahead, say it. Shut up, Sean. Yeah, there you go. Shut up, Sean. It's like, geez, guys.
I know I've said that many times in my life.
Yeah, but it's more natural with you. It's probably more warranted too.
Yes, yes, it's always warranted.
And so, and to conclude, wait, well, let's see how many minutes we've gone here. To conclude, read books, kids. Read and read and read and read.
And remember, you can read a book, but television is twice as fast.
And if you play a video game, you also are getting brain exercise. Don't just
Yes.
read books, kids. Jeez.
Yes. You don't want people to think you're a nerd like me.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Just try to not know stuff. That's the
Yes.
goal in life, is to try to not know stuff. And by the time you take your last breath, if you know nothing, good, because that's where you're going to. That's the
Absolutely.
existential last thought. This has been
Yes.
podcast episode 10. Stay tuned for our next reading adventure. Houston, what do you have to say?
I don't know. Reading is good, and you read book.
And you smell book. Okay, here, let's have a contest for people. Can you make your face red by can you make your face red by kind of like holding your breath?
No.
I can't watch. Let's try to do it. Like, just like pushing. If you
Okay.
hold your breath and push.
All
Who
right.
can make their face more red?
You're
then we'll
going
sign
to.
up.
All right.
Okay. Ready?
Okay, you definitely won.
Is my face red?
It was. Yeah, it was. It went away really fast, but yeah, it was getting pretty red.
And kids, we hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully, just make your face red more than you read, okay?
Yes.
All
Kill
right,
the brain
podcast
cells.
10. All right, this is the last one that you can count on your hands, ladies and gentlemen. The next one goes to 11.